Welcome back to Entertainment Thursday. Now, right now, I want us to connect directly to someone who is from the UK, who is in the UK rather. He is in London but is completely Kenyan. He goes by the name Shama and he is a singer and guitarist. Shama, good morning. Or is it, what time is it over there? Hi, Shama.
Good morning. It's 5:30 in the morning. Okay. So still dark, still cold, but we're here.
It's pretty early. It's pretty early for you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Niko sawa, tunaendelea.
Weather iko vipi huko? Manake huku baridi, it's quite cold over here for us.
Actually, kumekuwa na joto, but the last 24 hours, mvua imenyesha sana. Sana.
All right. For the people who are getting to know you and meet you for the very first time, if I could just give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to us and let us know what you do.
So my name is Shama. I'm a guitarist and singer who specializes in Swahili Rumba music and other styles of East African music. Some of you might remember me from when I was in Kenya. I used to run a big band called Orchestra Masika Africa, where we played Rumba music. And in the UK, I play Kenyan music, Congolese music, Cuban music, and similar styles of music. So that's what I do.
You mentioned Orchestra Masika Africa. What happened to the group? You are the leader of this group. What happened? Why did the group get disbanded?
So we were active between 2015 and 2019. In 2019, I got some opportunities to come to UK and work and study. So I decided to take them. And, of course, sometimes when the figurehead is gone, keeping people together can get quite difficult. And of course, COVID happened. Na hizo shida zote. So the guys, disbanded, but they're still around. Bado wanacheza muziki.
Is it difficult, or how easy or difficult is it for you now that you are working in a band, or rather with a band, but right now you're doing your thing solo? How difficult is it for you?
I think something to see, like UK is different from Kenya. So although I play my own music, bado nacheza na band nyingine kama kumi. So we have to make money. In terms of my own stuff, it's kind of like a passion project. It's for myself. Yeah.
So you still play with other bands over there? It's not like you've gone completely solo?
No. So because, of course, Najwa London is very, very expensive. There's some other bands I play with. One of the bands is called Grupo Loquito, and it plays Cuban and Congolese music mixed, like new Cuban music, new Congolese music mixed. So that's very interesting. Pia tumetoa vinyl Santuri a few months ago. And of course, there's some other, friends of mine or people I work with that I play with from South Africa, Zimbabwe, and yeah.
Yeah. What difference maybe have you witnessed from working as an artist here in Kenya and now, crossing the borders and working as an artist in the UK? Maybe some differences that you can point out for us?
So I think with everything in life, it's always easier to think the grass is greener on the other side. But there's some advantages of Kenya. For example, what we did with Masika Africa, we couldn't do in UK. But that having, the resources and the fact that things are not as expensive means you can sustain a bigger band. There's opportunities in Kenya to play at the same venue and have a residency, which doesn't happen in UK. But, of course, in the UK, you have more opportunities. There's more competition, of course, but then the best thing for me is you have all of these musicians from everywhere in the world. And, you can meet people from countries you've never even heard of before. And now you play together and you can make something new. So London in that way is good.
Yeah, I can imagine it must be interesting for you to just get to interact with all these artists from all over. You just mentioned you work with an artist from Cuba. Maybe just how is that experience?
It's quite interesting, actually. Something you realize as a musician, even though, people speak different languages or, have different people playing music. And so it's something which brings people together. And for those of people who know Kenyan music, Congolese music, a lot of sub-Saharan African music is very Cuban influenced. But Cuban music is very influenced by sub-Saharan African music, especially, old traditional Congolese music. So it's kind of like the same musical language.
Your sound is more of the rumba kind of sound, and we associate rumba with the a bit older of the generation. Why did you opt to go the rumba way and not the new school kind of music, considering you look quite young?
So for me, I've always liked older music, whether it's Kenyan music, Congolese music, Latin American music, Indian music. I think old music is music played by people, the time before a lot of computerization of music. So for me personally, I prefer the old stuff. When I say rumba, I also mean things like, there's a bit of benga, chakacha. Rumba for me also involves suku, so, seben, chacho, whatever you want to call it. So that's just the music I like to play. But of course, I like, listening to everything.
So you listen to even the genge tones? Do you enjoy genge tones?
To be honest, I'm I'm not very up to date with modern music, unfortunately. But I like music played by people. That's all I'm gonna say.
If you were to get a collaboration from an artist living in Kenya right now, which artist would you go for? I want you to give me 3 artists from the 254.
I've never actually even thought about that. There are some very interesting people. I don't know if you guys have heard of a guy called Yaba, or simply Yaba.
Oh yeah, Rumba Kane, yeah.
So I've worked with him quite a lot with the record label Bengatronics. They're doing some fantastic stuff. I heard earlier you mentioned Idaziz was on the streaming charts. I think he's fantastic singer, very good musician. And I'm very drawn to a lot of the musicians in the coast, actually, in the coast and in Western Kenya. So yeah, that's where I would place my bets.
Yeah, you just mentioned Id Aziz, and he's actually on the Spotify list of the most streamed Kenyan artists. So yes, he is a good artist for sure. You have a new EP out. Let's talk about that. It's called Leo Ni Leo. Tell me about this EP. How did it come to be?
So some of the songs in there, I've kind of been sitting on for a long time. I write music, but I don't release a lot of music like most musicians. So we write many things. We can write 1,000 songs and then release one. So there's actually a friend of mine who was on the EP. He's the guy who plays the percussion and the cajon, which is the box you sit on and you hit. And so he comes, as a friend of mine. We've worked together for a few years. He comes over to my house and says, teach me about Kenyan music. And so, of course, I'll show him things. And he says, teach me songs. I want to hear your songs. And so I showed him one song and the second song. And, we decided, why don't we just make this into a little album or an EP? So I wrote a few more songs. And then it kind of became this whole journey of Kenyan music through the acoustic guitar. So there's different, you can hear chakacha in there. There's a bit of benga, a bit of rumba. But the whole thing for me as well is music with a message. So things like the climate change or climate crisis, things like colonization, cultural loss, and all of these things are in this EP.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You mentioned that you write a lot of music, but you don't release as much music. Compared to the way that you write. You just write and you have your music with you, but you don't release it as much. Probably, why is that the reason? What is the reason behind that, sorry?
I think for me, writing is just it's like a part of life. You write music, ideas come in your head. There's some things, it can just be one melody, or some things you build into entire songs. And then we just wait for for example, life can be quite busy. Right now I'm studying my master's as well, so it's finding the right time when you can sit down and you have the money as well to say, okay, I can sit down, write this music, refine it, and then take it to the studio. Yeah.
Is that working for you? Because I think as an artist you need to be checking out music as frequently as possible for people to always have you in the minds, or should I say ears.
So it's an interesting thing because before, if people look through my Spotify, I have some older music which sounds different. And, I used to do the same thing of, okay, I need to release a single every 3 weeks, whatever. The reality is in music, becoming very unhappy because for us, music is an art, but for many people, it's become just like, content like social media that you scroll through it, you see it for 5 seconds, then it's gone. So for me, I prefer working in projects. Again, I work like an old person, but even in Masika Africa, we would, work on an album for a whole year, go and record it, release it, and then we rest, we do the same thing again. So for me personally, I prefer that, but I'm not trying to be in the commercial market. I just do this for myself now.
Okay, I get you. You also mentioned, or just from the EP, you've tackled quite a number of topics, and these are issues affecting the society. Did you do this intentionally? And why is it important for artists to speak about matters that affect the people in general and not just talk about the usual things we hear in songs, alcohol, women, drugs,
I think, of course, everyone can sing about what they want to sing about and what they feel like is accurate and reflects them. But I think also there's a difference between commercial music, music made to sell and like, other kinds of music, like they could be traditional music and so on. For me, of course, I believe music is very powerful. And I think it's very, very important to respect music and to put that in your music. A time where the world is going or things which are not happening, which should be happening. And I think it's important as musicians for us to address that.
How long did it take you to put together this body of work?
Actually, it was very quick. So because I had, we made the decision almost overnight. And when I make a decision to work, I work very quickly. So I was in Kenya in April to do some research. I came back in May, June, July, everything was done. So all the music was written, recorded, rehearsed, released. And now we have some performances for it coming next month.
Okay. Have you worked with other artists on this particular EP?
So this EP is under my name, but of course, you work with so many people to make music happen. So the main person who I started this with is the guy who plays drums with me. His name is Sam Peroli, and he's Portuguese. And then I involved another friend of mine called Tawanda Manika from Zimbabwe, who played the bass. And then, the guys producing it, there's a guy called Ernesto from Venezuela. The guy's doing the video, mixing, mastering. There's so many people involved in the project. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I've also realized that all your song titles are in Swahili. There's Ukoloni, there's Kazi, there's Ngoma Zetu, there's Naelewa, there's Mapenzi ya Pesa. Was this intentional?
Yeah, so I personally choose to sing in Kiswahili. I do speak many other languages, but I only sing in Kiswahili mainly. And that is, intentional. I think everyone is trying to sing and mix languages and, it's fine for anyone. Everyone can do, what they think is right for themselves. But at the same time, I think, the entire world is starting to sound very similar, that everyone wants to sing in some kind of English. Everyone wants to do something sounding like Afrobeats because, of course, we're musicians and this is our job. So we do need success to survive. But for me, I like to do what I feel in my heart is right for me. And as I said, so again, I'm not looking for commercial success, but I'm looking to do what I want to do.
Yeah. Maybe how is the Swahili reception in the UK?
It's interesting because what happens is wanakuweka kwa world music market.
Yeah.
So in some ways, that's quite a big industry as well. Because you sound different, you're speaking a language people don't know.
Yeah.
But also what happens is people get very interested. A place like London is very multicultural, so some people do speak Swahili, but people get very interested. But also this was for a Kenyan audience or East African audience as well, for them to understand the message in the music.
Why did you choose the title of the EP to be Leo ni Leo, which is one of the songs in the EP? Why that particular one?
So I think for me in the EP, it's one of the most powerful songs. It's quite a dramatic song. And Leo ni Leo, it's about climate change. It's about the climate crisis. That, we're in a sinking ship and people don't even care. We're just arguing with each other. We're trying to delay things. But we need to make a decision now. Otherwise, we're all done.
I agree with you on that. I want to know a bit about the song Naelewa as we wind up with this interview. What is Naelewa all about?
So Nailewa is actually a song I wrote about 3 or 4 years ago, and I even recorded it, but I never released it. Nailewa means I understand, and it came from a conversation with a friend of mine. So of course you can see me ni Muhindi, and with Indian people, especially in Kenya, I think there's a lot of generational trauma that people are forced into business, education, whatever, whether they want to or not, and find it brings you, but it comes at the expense of your own dreams. Mm-hmm. So when I was young, it was not we were allowed to study music or play music, but it was never allowed that you can have a career in music, that you say, okay, I'm not going to go and study, I'm not going to go into business, I'm going to be a musician. Mm-hmm. And so I had to kind of fight just to become a musician and to prove myself. And then eventually by good luck or by whatever it may be, we started becoming successful with Masika Africa. We were earning a living, we were on the news, the radio. And then suddenly those people who told me when I was young, you can't do music, you have to go and get a real job. Suddenly they turn around and they say, oh, well done, I've always supported you. And so it's kind of a song about that. Like, I'm saying that I understand people are not bad, but the world has broken their own dreams. So mm-hmm. That's what that song is about.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know what you're studying. You say that you're doing your master's. What is it in? What is the master's on? What are you studying?
So, if I say it, I don't know how many people know, but it's ethnomusicology. And basically, when COVID happened, I was stuck in UK. So I did an undergrad in commercial music, performance production, and business. And now ethnomusicology is about music, but it's about world music, but more things like anthropology, sociology, post-colonialism or post-colonial studies, and stuff like that. So still to do with music, but a bit different, quite interesting.
Okay, interesting. I love that. Okay, Ngoma Zetu, which translates to our music. What music are you talking about?
So, cheza benga, cheza rumba, cheza chakacha, isikuti, mwanzele. The whole thing that is something I've been saying since, the very first time I came into the BBC, the KBC studio, or the Citizen Studios, all like in 2015, that we as Kenyan musicians find people say Kenyan, there's no such thing as like Kenyan music or a Kenyan sound. Mm-hmm. But I think there's many Kenyan sounds because we're such a diverse country. And, it's great that, we try and play all this kind of music. People play reggae, jazz, blues, but it shouldn't come at the expense of our own music. What about rumba? What about benga, chakacha, isikuti? All of these, these styles of music, which are Kenyan music, which, people are forgetting, or they're saying, oh, this is, it's not sophisticated, it's rural, but this is very good music. Mm-hmm. And if you look anywhere in the world, the people having success with music, the countries having success with music are playing their own music. And they're growing their own music. And so, that's literally what I'm saying to Kenyan people and Kenyan musicians. Don't forget we have our own music.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us. I believe, as you mentioned, it is 5:30 a.m. on your end, so it is quite early. So thank you for waking up, and thank you for joining us right here on Entertainment Thursday. And all the best on your studies and all the best in your music as well.
Thank you.
Okay, now that was Shama coming through from the UK. He is speaking to us, or he was speaking to us rather, from the UK. And as we've heard from him, he is all about that authentic Kenyan sound. And I love when artists just decide to do our own sound. For the longest time, we keep complaining that Kenya has no sound. We keep complaining that we are always borrowing from the Tanzanian side, which is bongo music. We keep complaining that we keep borrowing the South African sound, the amapianos, the kwaito kind of sound. We keep complaining that we are borrowing too much from the Nigerian sound. But as Shama is doing, what about our sound, the authentic kind of sound, from the rumbas to the chakacha? Actually, chakacha is totally our sound. The likes of chakacha, the likes of rumba, these are our authentic sounds that I feel like most artists in the country at the moment are not really tapping into that. We are not really tapping much into that this sound that is authentic. We also have genge. Genge is our authentic sound. So how about we just tap into our authentic sounds and just get to give the people out there what we have. Let them know what Kenya is made of, musically speaking. Let not someone from outside, when they talk to you and ask you, what are some of the Kenyan songs that you can tell me about? Someone who's completely foreign, has never heard of any Kenyan song. And then when you play them something, they wonder, I think this is Nigerian because it's too much Afrobeat in it. You know, play them something that is from our place, from our country. And that way, that is why I'm advocating for most of our artists to just try tap into that sound. That is the original sound. One may maybe argue that probably it's not as marketable, but have you tried it? Have you tried it? It's actually very marketable, especially for people who love live music. It is very, very marketable, and I've attended so many events where people just play this kind of song, so it is actually marketable. There's a guy, I wanted to put you on to them. He goes by the name Kinoti. He's quite new in the industry. He's been doing music, but people never really used to listen to him, but right now we're listening to him. His sound is amazing, so maybe you can get to listen to Kinoti. DJ, I don't know if you have Shama's song ready. We'll listen to his song. All right.
Tribute to Franco Luambo Macchiati. Mario.
Okay, I guess that that song is not ready. DJ, I don't know what you have to say about the fact that we should get into our authentic music. Sisemi hizi zingine ni mbaya. It's okay, actually we love it as well, but I'm just calling upon other artists to get in so that we can have more authentic Kenyan music. Hata hizi zingine ziko sawa, wenye wanafanya hizo wafanye, but we have more artists who actually give us the chakachas, the rumbas, you know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, true. Actually, hata mimi nasema like artists wajitokeze tu wafanye. Unajua there's other people who relate with those rumbas, unaona? Like walete hiyo rumba in a modern way, unacheki. So that wale wakitabe pia wakuwe related na those kind of music.
Yeah.
I can urge them because tusirely sana kwa hii generation Gen Z peke yake.
Yeah.
Because kuna wengine pia like our parents for now. Kuna songs zingine za Gen Z they can't listen to, but to come up like you are when Gen Z, lakini unatoa song yenye uko related na wale wase wa kitambo, it can be very something that's nice, very nice.
Yeah, and you can still make it modern. Unajua kuna wimbo kama Rumba Japani.
Yeah.
It has the rumba feel, but it's still modern. There's also what Wanavokali do. They also have the authentic Kenyan sound with a modern touch. Yeah, so you can still make it modern and upbeat, and we can still vibe to it, right? Yeah. I believe that song is now ready. We listen to Shama's song. Okay, so we go on a break. Okay. All right. Entertainment Thursday still continues, and we would love to get to hear your feedback on what you feel about this particular topic. That I can actually go on and on and on this topic. But Pia, DJ, there are artists who complain that when they make this kind of songs, you don't play them. DJs don't play them.
Why?
You know, when you go for shows, you don't play this kind of music.
We do play them. It will depend on an event pia. Unaelewa? Because these songs we cannot play them in every event. Unacheki? But nikienda kwa event that we require such kind of music, I have them. I will play them. But not every event. Not every event. So.
But I believe that's the case with every song. So watu watoe tu hizo ngoma. There's a market for every kind of
every
genre.
Kind of music, yeah.
Okay.
Basi msiogope kutoa music, just release the music. Itapata market yake vizuri sana.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's listen to Shama's song.
cheza chaka chakaka isikuti mwanzele na mugili jamaha ngoma zetu wa Kenya zitavuma daima na milele ngoma. Cheza benga cheza rumba cheza chaka chakaka isikuti mwanzele na mugili jamaha